What's good, everybody? It's your man, Brandon Houston. And today, I am glad to be sharing today's verse of the day with us. So with that being said, let us begin. Today, we'll be looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. But I would also like to include 15 and 17 so we can have a better understanding. And I'll be reading from the NIV version off my tablet. Right here. Okay. If it is burnt up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames. Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is sacred, and you together are that temple. There are going to be times where we're not going to take the godly route. I think I had a lot of that yesterday. Just getting upset by things that were just out of my control, and then letting my own emotions take over situations that didn't need to be an argument. I do ask God to help me with my emotional side, because there are times where it can take over, and having the unknown be so unknown, it can really get somebody into a discouraging situation. And then I will also add that insecurities that can also add to something where we think about a certain outcome that happened to us in the past, and we let it into our future. Me and my brother talked recently, and I always thought to myself, following God would be the hardest thing anybody could ever do. Because we have to have the faith to want to follow God, to know that God will change our outcome into better when we're going through trials and tribulations. But then he decided to tell me that it's not just that it's hard, it's also the best. And the reason why I love that he said that to me, because exactly what I just said is exactly how you will turn around. It's the best thing to follow God, because we will have the faith knowing that he can change our perspective from our trials and tribulations. I've been noticing with me following God the way I am right now, I still have to make sure my faith level is up to par. And I really want that for the rest of us. Yes, it looks tricky, but that's why we follow God. That's the reason how we should always know, no matter what it looks like, God will see us through. I finally came to terms with something, and thank God that he gave me the mindset to think like this. And I was telling my own self this, but I had faith that I wanted something to be done. I had faith that God will provide, God will do this, and God will do all that, which is good. Have the faith that God will do what we ask for prayer, and have the faith that God will look out for us for our best outcome. But as I said, that I didn't think about so hardly that the outcome that wasn't so pleasant would happen that so much. And I had faith that if it did happen, then hey, that's what it is. But I put all my strength faith on this one thing for God to do. Sometimes we have to realize that God will still help us out for what we need over here as well. that's going to look different. That's going to look almost scary. But when I tell us this, it's not that scary when it comes to God. If we truly believe that God can handle everything, why would we not believe that God can handle this side and that side, front and back and all around? So when I say keep our faith in God, knowing that God is within us, keeping us together, we look at our trials and tribulations differently. And yes, even with all the positivity, it still sounds kind of hard to let God be in control. I sometimes struggle with this, but I also know that as much as I be like, I don't know how this is going to happen, I don't know how this is going to work, I'm not sure what else I need to do. The problem is the letter I. I can't do nothing. I'm too weak. I don't have enough knowledge to know what God knows, to have the godly strength. So when all of these things keep hitting us, please let us realize that there must be a breakthrough bound to happen. But don't just be so one-sided. And I pray to God that he changes my one-sidedness. But I pray that we don't be one-sided in the midst of believing in God just in this aspect. Because over here, over there, and over here is something so much that God can do. We have to stop limiting God to just one thing when God is everything. I love to tell you this, I love saying this to everybody, and I have to practice what I preach. With God everything, without God nothing, that's literally it. Put God in everything, because we'll have nothing. I know that this verse and some of the stuff that I've been going through this week, some of it has been on me. And I want us to realize when we are putting our own selves through trial and tribulations, because we can harm our own self in this midst. But it doesn't matter how good, how bad, how happy or sad it is, we have to go to God for it all. So when I say pray for me, I'm praying for you, pray for us. Because whatever we are going through, God got it in his hands. And now with that being said, with God everything, without God nothing. Deuces.